welcome to the Hope Centre, and we're here to do some interviews with people that are talented, that are therapists, or have got a passion or a dream. And today is our first interview from the Hope Centre here in High Wycombe, and I've got Maria who does the bars method. So what is the bars, Maria?
So basically the bars is, you have 32 bars in your head, which is related to different areas of your life. So it can be control, money, awareness, hope and joy. And what I'm doing is literally lightly touching all those points which are on your head that I know where, obviously I know where the points are. Lightly touching all these on your head, and it's just like decluttering. Say your brain is like a hard drive. So your brain is like, when I'm doing the bars, it declutters and creates more space. So it's wiping it all out. So it's just creating more space, more. I don't know. It's really good for sleeping. It's really good for that negative chatter in your head.
Brilliant. So just to recap on what you said, it's a bit like a detox. A bit like when you say you're clearing out, a bit like when the computer, the hard drive gets too busy, or there's too much on it, so you have a virus control or something. Is it?
It's more like it's just creating, it's just wiping or cleaning all the stuff that you've ever had about those thoughts and feelings, limitations about money, about control, about awareness, and just getting rid of it all so you can create more space.
That's really interesting. I have to say, I did have a bars method from Maria quite a while ago, and things started to fly for me. I'm not sure whether it was that. I'd like to think that it was part of it, but as you can see, things are flying for me, and I've now got a centre in High Wycombe. I popped up in here, and so much seems to have happened, because I remember saying to you, I can't attract money and attract success. And 2 months later, I can't remember, it was maybe the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Look where I am. Yeah. So obviously something changes when you have this. Yeah. So do you want to explain to us a little bit of where does it come from? What's the origin of the bars?
So basically it's by a guy called Gary Douglas. He it's called Access Conscious Bars. And there's definitely other different methods, but the main one was bars. And what he did was he basically was asking quality questions. I can't remember the question right off the top of my head. I think it was something like, what would you know, perceive and be, or something like, I really can't remember the question. And he asked the question out to the universe, and a couple of weeks later, a therapist or hypnotherapist rang him up and asked to be, he wanted a different method or something like that, something around those lines, and he channeled the points on the head. Right. So then he started to then he did the bars on other people, and things were just moving in their lives. So yeah, it's just it's amazing. I love it. I personally love it. I haven't done it for a while, but I do like doing it. It just gets rid of the negative chatter.
Okay, so
helps me.
Sorry to stop you there. Why do you like it so much? Because you do have a passion for it.
Yeah.
So what is it about it that you like so much?
Personally, for me, when I first did the bars, I saw loads of different energy and stuff. But the second time I did it, things just moved. I got the job I really wanted. I just seemed more clear, more focused. And it just seems like every time if I'm getting so really stressed, then when I have the bars, it's just relaxing, getting rid of all the crap, getting rid of all the day-to-day things, and just having it's like a breath of fresh air sort of thing. It's just relaxing.
So when you actually have the treatment, do you have a treatment from someone else? Can you do it yourself?
You can do it yourself, but I prefer to do it. I think it's more better if someone else does it for you.
So do other groups, where therapists can work on each other, or so
you
can actually get
help? I did in the past a meet-up group which was based in London, and had people who are practitioners or facilitators who do bars, or people who just want to experience it the first time doing exchanges. I've stopped that at the moment, but hopefully in the future I might set it up again. Or if you meet someone learn the bars, and you can contact them and you can swap. So I have done it in the past. I haven't done it for a while, but I will get back onto it.
Wonderful. Well, you're here at the Hope Centre. We've got you here, and when are you coming here to do the bars? I mean, this this program may not go on this week, but we're coming back in June as well. But if it does go on, when will you be coming back to do the bars here?
Well,
this week?
hopefully this week on Wednesday, and any other, maybe Friday. I don't know. It depends on obviously you guys.
Right.
And I'm available whenever really. Like I'm just setting this, just doing it 1-to-1 for a while. Starting to get the ball running with that. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Okay. Do you have a website or a way of people getting in touch with you?
I've got an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to say that, or would you rather we passed it on through Moving On TV?
Yeah, do that through Moving On TV. Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with Maria, you can come to the Hope Centre. If, as I say, if this does go on before we close this week, if not, you'll probably be here in June.
Yeah.
So we will be providing the bars method here in June. So please keep watching our programs, subscribe to our channel, and also we can tell you more about how Maria's getting on. So anything else you would like to say about the bars? I mean, are there any particular contraindications, for example, that you can't work on?
What do you mean, sorry?
Well, I mean, contraindications in the way, is there any people that in particular, any conditions to make it more clear?
Oh, okay, yeah, it's really good for children for exams, it's really good for children with anyone with ADHD, it's good for women who are pregnant, it's good for anyone and anybody, people who are really have this, you get burned out, you get tired, you get stressed, just day to day, like from work, whatever, it's really good for anybody and everyone, really.
Right.
There's no, you shouldn't be doing that. You can't.
So there's no that's why you didn't actually understand when I asked that question.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because a lot of therapies, you can't actually use them when women are pregnant or certain conditions. You can't actually use certain therapies. But this is a bit like meditation.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
Where it's for everyone, and you can only benefit from it. That's amazing. So we look forward to seeing you in June.
Yep.
And having you do some treatments here at the Hope Centre. Is there anything else you'd like to say to all of them?
Come and have your bars done.
So come and have your bars done.
Yeah.
Again, when Maria told me about the bars method, I was trying to figure out what could that mean, because when I think of the word bars, I either think of going to have a drink in a bar or having a bar, or bar chocolate. So it's really interesting the way you explain it, as we've explained that we have these bars that go through the head or the skull, and I presume it's a bit like pressure points or reflexology, where it releases something and then you can start all over again. So as you can see, life does move on and great things are happening for a lot of us now because of all of these wonderful therapies. So thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
I look forward to you coming and doing some work here at the Hope Centre. Take care.
Hey guys, welcome to Moving On TV. I can't see the viewers count. Unfortunately, everything's playing up again with Restream, stressing me out. So I thought the best way around it is if we do some Falun Gong, some Falun Dafa. After all, we are a community, and it's a Community Tuesday. So I think that's what it calls for. We can do it together and we can relax. I hope you've been enjoying the programs. I can't see who's on here. All I can do is try to go on YouTube and see if there's anyone on here. I can't see who's on here. All I can do is try to go on YouTube and see if there's anyone on here. because I can't see the viewer count. I don't know if anything is working. Because I can't see the viewer count. I don't know if anything is working. But still, it's worth doing it because I want to relax from all this stress of trying to stream. I'm trying to stream at the moment, and all I'm getting is things cutting off all over the place. I'm trying to stream at the moment, and all I'm getting, so I'm not able to do the programs. I don't know what's going on. I'm not able to do the programs the way I want to. Right, I think there's some people watching, so, but as I say, I don't have a viewers count, so I can't see what's going on. I can't see what's going on, but it looks like there's a few people watching. Right, okay, so let's do some, oh, where have I gone? There's no sound. There's no sound now. Unbelievable. Right, I'm going to go out 5.
Exercise 1. Conjoin the hands. Maitreya stretching his back.
Okay, so it looks like we've got some viewers, and it looks like the video is not sticking again at the moment, so let's try and do some Falun Dafa just to relax, because this is really doing my head in. I can't stream any of the programs the way I want to. So welcome to Moving On TV and Community Tuesday, guys. I'm doing my best here. Hope you're enjoying the programs. Hope you're having a beautiful day. It's very, very stormy out there, if you know what I mean. Let's do some. I'm looking forward to seeing how this helps my neck and my trapezius. And anyway, little gap in the programs. Let's do some Falun Dafa.
Top of his head. Press the hands together.
Let's go from the beginning. Let's go from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning, as they say in Sound of Music. Let's go from the beginning. There we go. Good luck. Let's enjoy it.
Exercise 1. Conjoin the hands. Maitreya stretching his back. Stretch. Tathagata pouring energy into the top of his head. Press the hands together. Turn the hands as if holding a ball. Hands pointing to heaven and earth. Stretch. Relax. Press the hands together. Turn the hands as if holding a ball. Hands pointing to heaven and earth. Stretch. Relax. Press the hands together. Golden monkey splitting its body. Stretch. Relax. Press the hands together. 2 dragons diving into the sea. Stretch. Relax. Press the hands together. Bodhisattva touching the lotus. Stretch. Relax. Press the hands together. Arhat carrying a mountain on his back. Stretch, relax. Press the hands together. Vajra, toppling a mountain. Stretch, relax. Press the hands together. Overlap the hands in front of the lower abdomen. Conjoin the hands. Exercise 2. Conjoin the hands. Holding the wheel in front of the head.
You can feel the energy. It's like magnet, like magnets.
Holding the wheel in front of the lower abdomen.
I wonder what this video is working on the other joints.
Holding the wheel above the head. Holding the wheel on both sides of the head. Overlap the hands in front of the lower abdomen. Conjoin the hands. Exercise 3. conjoin the hands. Males will first move the left hand upwards. Females will first move the right hand upwards. Press the hands together. Up, down. 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 Raise the other hand up. Down. 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 Up. Rotate the Fa Lun at the lower abdomen 4 times. Conjoin the hands. Exercise 4. Conjoin the hands. Press the hands together. Move downward, following the energy mechanism. The second time, move downward, following the energy mechanism. The third time, move downward, following the energy mechanism. The fourth time, move downward, following the energy mechanism. The fifth time, Move downward, following the energy mechanism. The 6th time. Move downward, following the energy mechanism. The 7th time. Move downward, following the energy mechanism. The 8th time, move downward, following the energy mechanism. The 9th time, move downward, following the energy mechanism. Overlap the hands in front of the lower abdomen.
You just joined us. We're doing Falandafa to help us relax so I can get on with my work. Community Tuesday. We're a community here and we want to do that. Join us.
Conjoin the hands. Exercise 5. Now let's start the practice.
Remember to breathe, guys.
Conjoin the hands. Begin the tranquil meditation.
There you go. Full. You should feel much more balanced now. Welcome to Community Tuesday. Hope you've been enjoying the programs. Community Tuesday is all about you, incredible people in the community. Those that we can actually put on, that are not too over the top. Let me find a program and hope that it will stream without too much interference here. Right? Community Tuesday. some great people in the community. Let's see what we've got. What can we bring on? What about some book show? What about a book show? What about Jaden? Let's see if we can get Jaden on with his book show. Enjoy.
Hey there guys, welcome back to Talking in Isolation. I'm your host Jay, and let's get right into it. As you can see, I've been trying to grow out a go-to because, well, even in isolation it gets pretty boring around here and I want to try something new. Now, please remember that you can send questions through this YouTube video in the comment section or anywhere else if you want to ask anything. And remember, my part is talking about you guys. Now today I got a very interesting thing from a friend of mine. Back during the time we would hang out, even in isolation, just over the phone and everything, we tried to talk about what we would do in our free time. Now, mostly it was about playing video games, doing puzzles and stuff, but one thing that interests me, and I think would interest everyone else, is what we read. You see, every book has a genre, fantasy, realistic, documentary, adult fiction, steampunk, all that stuff is interesting. But what I found out that is very unique is one form. You see, I have a friend who, during isolation, he was very, very bored. And I found out he got into a specific genre of reading. Now, the genre which can only be described as, well, reincarnation and summoning is many of the things he read were about being summoned or reincarnated into a different world. Now, many of you will think that's boring and everything, but I want to look into a deeper perspective of it. You see, when I asked him, and he told me about it, I thought, why would someone want to read that specific genre? So I did some research, and here is what I found out. Now, the Japanese actually have a certain word for this genre. It's called isekai. It pretty much means to be reincarnated or summoned into a different world other than the one that you're from. Now, that leads on to two pretty important points. The difference between summoning and reincarnation. To look at it like this, you can see it as a person's preference into what they want that they can never have. The idea of a fantasy world is there aren't any rules from our previous world. No, there are obviously some like, don't murder each other and, don't commit crimes and stuff, at least in some books. But what you have to look at is what we can't get in this world. In this world, everything's normal. We can go get a job, we have taxes, we can hang out with friends, we don't have to worry about monsters. The only really animalistic worries are stuff we might find in the bush, snakes, spiders, and sometimes the occasional, angry animal, depending on the country you're in. But in the fantasy world, it's usually about mythical beasts, chimeras, hydras, the gorgons. Gorgons are like what Medusa was, except without the stone part. What you have to look at is people want, as I said before, people want what they can't have. And in a fantasy world, all those rules are broken down. In a fantasy world, we can have magic, we can have sword fighters, we can have careers we could never have in this world. Being an adventurer, going out and exploring, clearing dungeons. All this stuff is stuff that's out of reach from us. We can play it in video games, we can read it in book, but to actually do it is something that's very, very much out of our reach. And many of you can argue, hey, with VR, virtual reality, we can get a feel for it when those games come out. But the thing you have to remember is we can never truly get it. We can never experience it. As soon as you take off the headset, it's all gone. And because of that, we can never ever truly embrace it. And I think that's something that pulls people towards that kind of genre, the isekai, Japanese. But the thing I looked at is there is a deeper meaning as well, especially in what I talked about before, the two different types. When you look at summoned to another world, I believe that's looking at someone who wishes they could retain their current memories or retain what they want to retain, their body, their personality and everything, and be able to experience something different. They might have something they're not happy or not, expressive of, but in the long run, they want to go there. They want to leave their current world and they want to explore a possibility as they are. People who usually go towards this side are people who, to put it in the simplest terms, want to experience something without missing anything of themselves. They want to know that they have the skills they currently have and they can go and use them. This is more for the people who work hard and want skills that they've developed. Now, the other hand though, reincarnation, the thought that after you die, you get to restart from level 1, restart the entire thing over. This is more looking at people who either have a hard life or want to become someone entirely different. Books that usually look at that are the ones that they want to change how they are. They might want a different hairstyle, they might want a different look. They don't want to be tied down with past experiences. Many people like this in books start off as, well, babies and stuff. Or if they're reincarnated, they could start off as entirely different people. The idea is that it all new idea allows you to also a third thing that not many think about. You see, throughout all these different things, the idea is that they know that they've been reincarnated or they've been summoned to another world. And the idea behind that is memory. In all the ones I researched, the possibility of them remembering who they are is near a perfect 100. Because the problem is with Isekai, they have knowledge about the previous world, aka Earth, where we live now. The problem with this is, if they started from 1, just completely start anew, and they had no prior knowledge, that would change the book from Isekai to just normal fantasy. Now, many of you might think, what's a problem with this? Well, the thing is, the entire term Isekai, the entire term of this visionary idea is that you need memory and knowledge about where we are now. So the entire genre revolves around the memory of Earth. The main problem with this is Isekai books aren't extremely different from each other. If you look at them fundamentally, they're basically the same, with story elements making them different. You can't get anything original out of it because people know. There are different books, like if any of you have read Skullduggery Pleasant, you know that that's the normal Earth, the normal world, but we find a different part of it. That's not Isekai, but that is unique and it adds magic and everything. The thing that makes that unique is we're taking the already known world and we're injecting something different into it. The problem with Isekai is we take the normal world, throw it away, and add a new entirely different world. And even if you make that world unique and everything, the problem is the memory of Earth can always impact it. To tell you another example, I talk about Skullduggery Pleasant, which is our world with magical elements put into it. Look at Lord of the Rings. That has no memory of Earth, no idea about where we are, and makes a completely different fantasy world with no ties to it. Thanks to that, they have no trouble with doing anything they want because the idea of Earth and the idea of the limitation Earth proposes aren't there, so they can go in any direction they want. Back to the topic at hand. As I've talked about, Isekai allows us to escape from reality. But what parts? Because from the research I did, there are a few fundamental parts that we are freed from in the Isekai genre. First of all, the idea of family. In Isekais, if the main character has a family, most of the time they're going to be completely different to what we think. They're either going to be very loving, caring, or they're going to be very harsh and hating. There's never an in-between. There's never a normal family that's always happy and always, like, you know, media. Sorry. That means that they're sometimes happy, sometimes sad, emotions take them over. No, isekais, they're usually extremely to one point. They're either very loving, very careful, very controlling, or very angry. There's no middle line. The thing with this is, it wants to make sure we, as the readers, get a fundamental look at what the person has to go through. We know that they're from Earth, and they have memories from Earth, so that's going to affect them. But what's interesting is the fact that their parents will always throw them a curveball. Now, the thing is though, when they're summoned to another world, or when they're reincarnated and they don't have anyone looking after them, that makes an entirely new thing, because they're entirely dependent on those past memories to help them. What some of you might not know is that the idea of, as I've said, the idea of Earth does play a massive role in the story. But what it can also do is make the person dependent on it in said story. When in reality, the reason people make isekais is to escape from it. People will be like, I would love to be in another world where I could do this, this, and that. But the fact of the matter is, if you were born in that other world, you might not live as long, and you might actually dream of being on a planet like Earth. You see, many stories that I've read in my research tell me that the idea of Earth and the idea that, you know, we can be reincarnated and we can have all this fun adventure, the only reason it's fun is because we know about the boringness of where we are now. I wake up, I have breakfast, I'll go out, I'll work, maybe play a game or two, come home, relax, you know, it's all the same. You either go to work, you have fun, you eat, you rest, blah, blah, blah. Those are the four massive things. In a different world though, those four things might not exist. You might still have work and sleep, but you also have survival of monsters, looking at different magics, which can be counted as work. It completely changes from work, where you might, like me, stand behind a bar or go to sets, to a place where you have to try and survive, hunt for resources, all that stuff. They come two completely different things while using the same title. Like how Isekai represents reincarnation or summoning, same title but different experiences. Now, the importance about remembering all this is we have to look at why it's interesting to certain people. I've stated why certain parts of it are made as is, but I haven't discussed why a person is drawn to them. Now, it could just be a normal thing. You enjoy the genre, you like the idea of fantasy, but there can be a darker tone to it. And while I'd rather not talk about it, it's a question, and as I said, anything you guys want me to talk about, I'll talk about. I won't beat around the bush, and I'll go straight for it. What I think is, while there are people who genuinely enjoy it and just love a good book, there are those people that want to because they want to escape from something. I really hope this isn't true, but I have to say it just because it's part of my research. Many people want what they can't have. And while many people think it's adventure, fun, you know, all that, there are darker tones. They might want to escape from something of a family, or they want to escape from bullies and such. Or they want the idea that in an isekai, a person can be overly strong and overly powerful, and people don't pick on them. But that might not always be the case here, where sometimes you just don't have the strength to fight on. So, just, you know, if someone talks about it, listen, see how they react to it. See if they're joyful and everything, or if they're longing for something. That's the thing about books. Depending on what a person reads, you can understand them. I've met people who became my best friends because I just found another single book they read. When I was younger, I met a guy who just read Moby Dick, and we became great friends because he wanted that longing of adventure and finding something that was unreal, and I thought that was amazing. The genre of isekai can offer many things. Onto a Another point, the idea of isekai is that they all sometimes, most of the times, have one thing called the cheat ability. Now, isekais with this kind of genre aren't exactly rare. They're really quite obvious, and to be honest, many of them have it. The idea is when they're summoned or reincarnated into another world, they have a cheat-like ability that doesn't disappear. It makes it either too easy for them or gives them a leg up over everyone else. For example, I remember reading one when I was doing this that talked about a guy who had the ability to have unlimited power, speed, strength, and everything, which I thought would make the book very repetitious. I mean, if he can have, perfect everything, isn't that going to be boring? And why would I want to read it? I already know how it's going to end. He's going to win, win, and win. But when I researched it up, it was one of the best sellers in Japan, and even people from America, Australia, other countries thoroughly enjoy it. The reason behind it being that even though he had unlimited everything, his memories from Earth made him very struggle against the very idea of being overpowered, since on Earth he's shown to be very weak and southerly. The idea is that the cheat item, when introduced correctly, gives them a way out, but they still struggle to take it, even if it seems like the easiest choice in the world, because of their past memories. Another cheat item that I remember reading about was about a boy who had the cheat ability. Let's see, what was a good one? Oh yes, he had a helper, a guardian. This cheat ability allowed someone that he could always talk to help him through harder times. Now, this one wasn't as well received as the OP cheat skill, but the interesting thing is he always had someone to talk to, which people thought was good because on Earth he was known as a loner, a shut-in, or as the Japanese would call it, a NEET, which is pretty much someone who doesn't like to go out and just stays inside and plays video games all day. Someone who doesn't like to leave their room, and rather for that safety of knowing what you can know and in a place that you feel familiar with. The idea behind this was that because he had someone to talk to, he wasn't going to be as lonely as he always is, and he wasn't going into a world unknown because he had someone there to guide him through it. Like how in many video games there's always a tutorial that introduces you to the mechanics of the game. He had someone to help him, which many people would like in life. Someone to just help them get into things. But there is another thing. There are books where people aren't born with cheat abilities, and that brings on a very different kind of feeling for the book. A person who has to work harder in a new world. They may have been treated badly in their old one, they have to work even harder in their new one because they don't have any safety net. And even if they're described as having been beaten, starved, treated horribly in the last world, the fact of the matter is they did have a place they could escape to, even for a few minutes. When you're in another world, you have no safety net. You have no place to escape to, which is interesting. It's good, it's fun, but it is interesting in the idea of that. I feel like books like that appeal to people who want to try and overtake hardship, become stronger. And I feel like that's an amazing genre, an amazing look at it. Because we all go through trials in our lives. And the idea of going to an entirely different world for an entirely new set of trials, where in this world we might have struggled with, but in that world we have an entirely new slate. I feel like that's interesting and something we should all look at. Now, a final point is, you shouldn't take my word for it on how I feel about isekais. Personally, I enjoy them. I think they're a new look, and I think they're very, very much enjoyable to watch and experience. But don't take my word for it. You can look them up anywhere online if you want. Look them up on novels.com if you want. You can look them up on other things. Japanese often make them into comic books. I think they're called mangas. If you want to look at that, if you want an easier time to look at it with pictures and stuff, don't call yourself a baby. Everyone has preferences. There's nothing wrong with it. If I can make a recommendation though, there is a novel that I did read a bit. It's called FFF Rank Hero. I'm not going to advertise it, but if you ever want to look at a book of a guy who remembers Earth, that I would recommend. It goes on long, you can read it online, and I have to say it's a pretty interesting read when I read it. It goes upon the idea of isekai, but the idea that you want to return to your normal Earth, which honestly not many isekais talk about. They usually want to just stay in this world of fantasy, but there are a few rare ones where they want to return back to the normal Earth. Many people wonder why, when in reality we have to remember not everyone wants to be summoned to another world. Some people would love to stay in this world, like myself and I think most people, and the idea of going to another world seems preposterous, and even if they were given a chance they'd say no, because they want the idea of rules. The book kind of looks at that, where this boy doesn't want to be a hero, doesn't want to be in another world, but the only way to return is to fulfill the goal of it, and every time he thinks he gets there, he's shot down. So, to be honest, it's a pretty interesting read, and I highly recommend it, even though I'm not sponsored. And on a down note, if anyone wants to sponsor me, I'm open. So anyway, this is Talking in Isolation, and oh yeah, quick thing. Some of you have texted me about the idea of the gaming channel, and honestly, I do want to do it, but I don't know how to. If any of you want to, I'm happy to try and open a Discord, look up how to record and stuff. You know, we can all get on our laptops, just play a few games, have a good recording session, or just having some fun. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I think we could all enjoy doing it. So I will look into trying to see if I can do something like that. We can call it gaming in isolation, if anything, and it could be a break from just talking about people's stories. I think that's all we have time for today. I think I went through everything. If you liked this talk, I hope you did. If you want me to talk about anything else, just send it through the email. If you looked up Moving on TV, you would have seen that I've been linked to it through my Instagram account and everything. Kind of dead at the moment. Made it. But, you know, Talking in Isolation is all about you guys, so I want to hear from you. Please don't hesitate to ask anything. Remember, as I said in my first video, stupid question, stupid answer. Let's be adult about this. And I hope you guys all have a good rest of the day. And remember, if you're stuck in isolation and you want to talk, I'm here to listen. Have a nice day, guys, and I hope to hear from you all soon.
I hope you enjoyed watching Jaden. He lives in Australia, and he did that at the beginning of the lockdown, and then he disappeared. It is now 10:30, and I'm going to put on something else based on the community. Let's see what I've got. How about Ellen's lockdown show? That's also based on books and the community. And she did all of this as well at the beginning of the lockdown. And then she went off and got a job, which was good. But we still got the programs, luckily. So how about we watch that?
Hi everyone, my name is Ellen and you might see that I'm very new to the Moving On TV channel here on YouTube. So I'm new to the channel, but the idea behind me doing these videos is to create a short video series giving people ideas of what they can do whilst we are still in lockdown here in the UK. We are currently going into week 8 of lockdown. Measures might be slightly loosened or relaxed on Sunday, but chances are over the next few months we will be spending more time than usual in our own homes. I know it's starting to get to me. I know a lot of people feel a bit stir crazy right now, so I'm here to give you some ways of escaping while staying in your own home and staying safe, of course. So today I thought I'd give you some book recommendations. Right now I can't read anything right now that includes a health scare, a disease, a death, war, conflict. I can't read anything that could possibly upset me, and I know quite a lot of other people are feeling that same way. So I've got a list of books here, and they really will transport you, let you escape whilst staying in your home. All of these books are available on Kindle as well. The majority of them are also available as audiobooks if you listen to audiobooks. So I've got the list on my phone, so I will just go through these. I wanted to start with a few books for younger teenagers, if you have kids, or these were the books that I read growing up. And I think I will reread them this quarantine, this lockdown, because they do give you a really, really nice escape. So the first book I would like to mention is a series by Ali Carter. The series is called Heist Society. So it's about a group of thieves, and although it's set in real locations such as the Louvre in Paris, you're going on adventures with a group of thieves, so it does take you out of your own reality, or what I hope would be your own reality. And it's really, really fun, suitable sort of age 13 upwards, and it's a really good series. It's a 3-part series and it's completed, so you can buy all 3 books and really sink your teeth into them. Another series that Ali Carter has done is called I'll Tell You I Love You But Then I Have to Kill You. It's the Gallagher Girls series, which is a 6-book series, also now completed. And again, that's just based on some really nice friendships. You've got assassins in there, you've got spies in there, loads and loads of adventures that you can go on, set all across the globe. And it's really, really good books for kids, teenagers, adults. I read them when I was 14, 15, and they are still some of my most cherished books today. So going on to more adult fiction, all of these books are fiction. I've not really been interested in reading non-fiction or biographies or anything like that recently. I just need to escape the whole lockdown situation. So that's where these ideas have come from. So to start off, there is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. This book has just come out recently in March. Sarah J Maas is the queen of fantasy. Now if you've never read a fantasy book before, this is one to go for. It's urban fantasy, so if you liked Harry Potter, you'll like this book. There are humans, it's, civilization similar to that of our civilization, but you do have angels, you do have fairies, gods with powers, kings, so there's a little bit of magic in there as well, which is really nice. The first 150 pages of the book are a lot of world building, a lot of information dumped on you, but after that it's really easy to get into. It's an 800-page book, so you can really sink your teeth into it and just take a few days out from the whole lockdown situation. And it's the first book in the Crescent City series. the series hasn't been completed yet, so this is the only book that's out currently. But it is the best that Sarah J. Maas has written, and everyone who's read it loves it. Another book by Sarah J. Maas, if you want to read an urban fantasy series that has been completed, if you just want several books to read all in a week or something, A Court of Thorns and Roses is a really, really good option. It's not as long, it's 400 pages, I believe, so it's easier to complete. And there's also a lot less world building. You've still got your humans and stuff, and it's, relative to civilization here, so it's quite easy to picture in your mind and get into the story. But that's also a really great option. So, 2 other book recommendations. One of them is LGBT plus fiction. It's called Two Boys Kissing, and it follows several pairs of characters who are all in their mid-teens. There's a lot of gay male representation. I find a lot of LGBT plus fiction is focused around female characters, but this is entirely focused on male characters. There's trans representation, female to male, and the book is narrated by the previous generation of gay men who died from AIDS. So you've got a real historical narrative overlooking pairs of characters and their lives and how they all intertwine. So it's really interesting. It's a short book, a quick read, and it's available on Kindle as well. So lastly, there is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, I think. So it's another big book, 800 pages, but there's 9 books in the series. And although it doesn't transport you to another realm or another world, it does transport you back to 1743 England. It's a brilliant story about a woman, Claire, who falls back in time from the 1950s back to 1743, and then has to navigate her new surroundings, the new people she's with. She falls in love. There are huge divisions historically at that time between the French, the Scottish, the English. Everyone's, a little tense. There are lots of clans involved, so you really get to know the Mackenzie clan, which she kind of falls into. And it's a really fascinating book. I've only read the first one. I will be reading the others, but it's a big series to get into. And also it has been made into an award-winning TV show starring Sam Heughan and Katrina Balfe. It's currently on Amazon Prime. And I think they're on season 5. So after you've read the book, you can dive straight into that. Romance as well, so it's probably more adult fiction. And the majority of it is historically accurate as well, so you do get a bit of a history lesson. It's a really, really nice book to read. You will read it just like that. And there's lots of other books in the series, so you will have a fun time escaping from lockdown with those. So those are my book recommendations. I've got some there for young adults, teenagers, if you've got kids, as well as adults. If you have any recommendations, share them around. Everyone is going stir crazy. You're not alone. And now is the time to read a book. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to my book recommendations. I hope it's been okay, and I hope you're happy with me being on the channel. Okay, thank you. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Why you
Hey guys, welcome to Community Tuesday. I can see you're joining. I'm really grateful. This is Moving On TV. We are the new TV station for the future. We're in entertainment. We offer loads of different types of entertainment. And today is things from the community. So I'm going to put a program on with Pete Lang. Now, Pete Lang has been through so many different issues in his life, unfortunately. And he is really an amazing guy. He's so positive and he really teaches us how to stay grateful and positive. So I hope it works this time and it doesn't freeze on us and that you can.
Guys, welcome to Moving On TV and welcome to the community show. We're back and we're back with extraordinary people that have got wonderful stories, and today I've got one of them, a unique man, Pete Lang. Hi Pete, lovely to have you today.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being here. Now first of all, you come from America?
Yes, I was born and raised in the United States, and New York, born and raised in New York City. And when I went away to university, I went to the southern part of the United States, and now I consider North Carolina my home.
Okay, so as you can see, I've got the New York hat on, which is apt for Pete. So go on, so tell me a little bit, how long have you been in the UK?
I've been here for 4 years, and I work for the largest tobacco company in the world.
Okay.
All right, which is a place called Alliance One, and they are a wholesaler. So they buy it from the farmers, and then they sell it to the people who make cigarettes and whatnot.
Okay.
All right. And so my job is to keep all the computer systems that run all the factories that deal with all of this tobacco in Europe and Africa.
Wow,
And
interesting.
so the company headquarters is in the United States, and I've had the opportunity to go to Africa a number of times, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place, and the job opportunity came up to kind of take care of Africa, and I jumped on it. That's how I'm here.
Wow. Well, one of the reasons I've got you on Moving On TV, because everyone who comes on to Moving On TV is positive, is unique, is doing something to make the world a better place. Now, I know Pete from Unity UK and Maidenhead, where we spread positive messages and sing and do all sorts of great stuff together. So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with Africa, because that is a very inspiring thing.
Well, first time I was in Africa was with the Army, all right, and I was in Special Forces. I was a medic, and during the first Gulf War, the Americans pretty much trashed out the air base in Mombasa in Kenya, and then they just left. All right, so the Kenyans were not very happy with the Americans, and the Americans wanted to make nice. So they said, "Look, we'll rebuild your runway. We will send over a set of trainers," which was the Special Forces unit that was attached to go ahead and train a Special Forces unit for you, and which is parachuting. And then we'll also send over a medical team to go out to the desert and take care of people who haven't seen a doctor in a long time.
Right.
So
that's how you're basically contributing.
That's
by
right.
making sure that they get a medical team.
Well,
taken care of.
and actually, here's the thing about it. We had one medic, we had two doctors, a vet, and a dentist. All right.
Okay.
And of all those, I would say the dentist and the vet were the most valuable.
Okay.
All right, because you've been to the doctor. You go and they write down what's wrong with you, and they say, all right, come back in 3 weeks, and then we'll look at it again. Well, in this situation, these people are never going to be seen by that doctor again. All right, what they can do is pretty limited. Whereas the dentist, if somebody has, usually what we ended up doing was pulling teeth. All right, somebody's got a tooth that hurts, and you pull it out, you have done them some good.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And then with the animals, what we would do is we would inoculate them and deworm them. And that sounds kind of gross, I guess.
Yeah.
But what happened was all of the nutrition that was going to the worms was now being produced into meat and to milk that the families of the local villagers could consume. And when they heard that the Americans were coming and they were bringing, you know, medicine for the animals, I mean, we'd come to a village and there'd be thousands of people there.
Right. Okay, so that's a bit of background news. Now, you're also very involved in Unity. Unity, as I say, is a very positive group that meets to promote abundance and healing and health and everything. But is it okay if I ask you a little bit about your story? Because I know you've been through a lot.
Yes.
You've been through a lot in life. I don't know enough about it, but I know you've been through a lot in life, and yet you're a very positive, very bubbly, very loving, very giving human being. So do you mind telling us just a little bit about your personal history?
Well, I grew up a white kid in a Puerto Rican black neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
I grew up in the hood. All right.
We got someone from the hood on Moving On TV, and
That's right. A matter of fact, what's the name of that rap group? You know, there's a Christmas rap song about, you know, Christmas in Hollis, Queens.
Oh, don't ask me.
All right.
I don't know
Well,
anything about rap.
all right.
So anyways,
but be it as it may, be more as a house is where I live, and I didn't enjoy that very much. You know, most people tend to like wherever it was that they grew up is, you know, this is home. I never felt that way about New York.
Okay, so you
And
left.
so I left there and I went to school in Kentucky, all right, at the University of Kentucky. And there isn't anything analogous to the feeling between the North and the South in the United States, in England. Closest thing might be Scotland and England, all right? In terms of, you know, we had, you know, they've had civil wars here, and we had a civil war in the United States, and the South lost, and they're still pretty angry about it 150 years later. You know, and so I was from the North,
Right.
and it reminded me every day that I was from the North,
Right.
and that I really didn't belong there. So, but you know, made it through, and when I was a little kid, I decided I wanted to be a Green Beret. And then when the time came to graduate university, I went to a recruiter and said, you know, can you make me a Green Beret? And he said, yes, I can. And sign right here. And as it turned out, normally you have to be on your second enlistment, you have to have done all these things, but they were hard up for people. So they would take anybody, you know, that maxed out the entrance exams for the Army and was in good health, which fortunately I managed to do. So after college, I went into Special Forces, and then after that, you know, became a computer guy. All right, and you know, I've taught at all different levels. You know, 6th grade. What would they call 6th grade? I'm not exactly sure what it would be called here in Britain.
So sorry to stop you there, Pete.
Yeah.
So you came to the UK.
Yes.
But you went through some stuff in the UK, didn't you, with your children? Is that right?
Oh well. I've the only thing I had 2 daughters. One passed on before I came to the UK. All right. She got to as was what they call them in the U.S. a 1-car wreck, which means you did something stupid and you wrecked your own car, and it killed her instantly. And then my younger daughter, you know, when she graduated from university, you know, I promised her a trip wherever she wanted to go. She said, I want to go to England. So when and as I was here, we spent 2 weeks cruising around. Saw Shakespeare lived, and the ocean, and in Wales. We went all over the place.
So you came to England with your daughter, and
Came with my wife.
with your wife.
Yes. I don't mean to sound like I've got an overly complex story, but
No, but we want to hear this because you're such a positive.
I came over with my wife, and then life was pretty good. You know, we had our little place, and we had our way of life, and then my wife is Lebanese, and
Okay.
it is the duty of a Lebanese senior daughter to take care of her mother in her old age when she gets ill. So her mom got real sick one time, and my wife Nasia felt very, very guilty about it. But she didn't say anything to me, but she felt very, very guilty. So finally I said to her, girl, go back to the States.
Okay.
All right, you know, I can live here by myself for the rest of my contract, which was, at that point was 2.5 years. Now it's 11 months. I can take care of myself. All right, go take care of your mom. All right, so she did. So I've been here for the most part by myself, you know, and the people at Unity have been as close as I get to family and friends.
That's fantastic. So, you see, this is what I want to put across in Moving on TV is it's awful. I can't even imagine how it must feel to lose your child. But from the time I've known you, Pete, you are one of the most positive, enlightened, giving human beings that I know. So people are going through a lot these days, and one of the reasons that's why I wanted to bring you on to Moving on TV, because I want you to be able to say to people, how do you do it? How do you manage to rise above grief and the stuff that you've gone through, the pain, and carry on being such a lovely human being and a giving human being as well?
Well, because it's the best option.
Right.
All right, you know, anyone could find a good reason to be upset about the way life has treated them. All right, very, very few people, you know, have had perfect lives. All right, so I'm certainly not one. So I made a very, very painful thing happen, and we don't need to go into details of it right now. And one of the places that I use as inspiration is the movie Gandhi. If you've never seen it,
Yes.
I strongly recommend it. And in the early bits of the movie, when he was still in South Africa, you know, a white punk knocks him into the street, all right? And so his minions brush him off, and they're outraged at this, and they ask Gandhi, well, what are we going to do? He says, I'm going to forgive him. What? Forgive him after he's done this outrage to you? And he said, look, all right, I'm not forgiving him for him. I am forgiving him for me, so that I don't think about it, I don't worry about it, and I can move on to bigger and better things. And at that point in time, that really helped me in a very, very difficult situation, and it is kind of one of the foundations of that I go through life of, you know, what's the point of being angry and upset and hurtful? How can I take this and make something positive out of it? And so when my daughter passed, you know, I committed my life to trying to make the world a better place. All right.
So inspiring.
And
So inspiring.
the cool thing I've discovered, and I'll share with your folks, is that making the world a better place doesn't have to be a big thing. All right. So, in other words, smiling at somebody the day that they are having a horrible day and considering suicide, and you happen to smile at them that day, and they say, well, you know, if that person smiled at me, maybe I'm not that terrible. Maybe I can go on another day. And that's all it took. All right. Now, quite frankly, I imagine that could have happened. I'll never know.
But you're trying.
But I'm
Doing
trying.
something.
I'm trying. You know, every person I meet, automatically, how can I put a smile on this person's face?
That's amazing. So we're going to take a break there, Pete, because
Sure.
we do need to have some adverts.
Okay.
But when we come back, we're going to talk to Pete more about this positivity and how you can do like small things a day to help yourself and to help others. How would you get someone that's actually in intense pain, that it's hard for them to even sit and think that they could ask their pain in? How are you going to do it? Would you do that by steps, like slowly, gently? Because
The first thing that you want to do is imagine that you're holding a sword and shield while setting the sword and shield down, and then walking up to an imagined sacred space, the door opening, and then your issue, say neck pain, walking through the door, and you welcome it. You say, well,
no, rien, de rien. Oh, I love you too, Marcel. Oh, bonjour, bonjour. I want to wear my face to the audience as I would a la verre. And that is why I refuse to wear the makeup and the products, not unless they are organic. Because they make me feel nude. So, come on board, organic makeup companies, moving on TV.uk. Bonjour. No, rien, no. We're back, and on the community show today I am talking to Pete Lang, who's come all the way to High Wycombe, not from New York, but actually from where you live?
I live in Wokingham.
In Wokingham. Now, before the break, we were talking to Pete about positivity and how to make the world a better place just by doing little things, kind things, in spite of the fact that we're going through a lot. You know, people are going through grief and all sorts of stuff. And so I've got Pete here today who wants to say a little bit about that. So what can people do on a daily basis that not only makes other people feel good, but obviously if they do something nice for someone else, they're going to feel good inside. So how did you learn all of this? Were you brought up that way?
Actually, no. My parents grew up in wartime Europe, so there wasn't necessarily a lot of positivity going on there. And growing up in Queens, New York, there wasn't a lot of positivity. And you know how in most classes there's always one kid or two that everybody picks on?
That was you.
That was me.
Okay.
All right. And so I said, well, when I get the chance, I'm going to make sure that I do what I can to make sure that doesn't happen to other people.
Okay, so where did this come from? Because a lot of people that grow up with so much negativity and pain, they don't know how to be positive. They don't know how to be grateful. I never learned any of that. It took me a whole life transformation to be able to do this. So where did this come to? Did you have an awakening of some kind? Did you read a book?
Well, I mean,
What happened?
I'm going to have to say I was born with some of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because neither of my parents were terribly religious, and even though I went to a Lutheran primary school, all right, I inquired those kinds of questions. I just couldn't believe that life was meant to be miserable. All right, I wasn't prepared to accept that. All right, and I started exploring how to not be miserable. All right, and probably the first big thing that I discovered was there was a little notice behind the library that said, "Come to a class on transcendental meditation."
Okay.
All right, for
So
free.
so that's basically the first thing that you
That was the
did.
first thing.
A lot of us go into
That's-
positivity that way, didn't
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know,
we? Yeah.
and you know, I mean, transcendental meditation is, I think, kind of more of a business and a scam than it is, you know, a true, you know, let's make the world a better place kind of an organization. But nonetheless, you know, in today's world, you can just go, you know, type into Google, how can I meditate, or how do I learn to meditate, or go to YouTube, and there'll be hundreds of
Yeah.
videos that will show you how to do it. All right.
They all lead to the same thing. We all want to find that positivity. And
Here's there are thousands of different meditation techniques. All right. And they're not necessarily all for the same goal. All right. Now, basic transcendental meditation and many meditations, the objective is to bring you, a human being, in contact with the totality of humanity and with the universe. All right. So there's a lot of meditation that's associated with that. All right. But you know, there's meditation on any topic. You know, I've got on my computer, I've got probably 10 or 15 different meditations to help you lose weight.
Okay, so, but coming back to the positive thing,
Right.
what did you start using to help you to get through on a daily basis, that people can do on a daily basis, would you say?
Well, for me, it was transcendental meditation. All right, and I'm not suggesting that is. I'll give you the meditation technique in the time we have left. Very simple. Okay. All right. Sit in a comfortable chair. Sit up as straight as you can, but don't freak out about, you know, being rigid. And breathe in. Say 1. Breathe out. Say 1. That's it. Keep and repeat. And then do that for as long as you want to do that for. You know, start off with 10 minutes, and then if you do that 20 minutes twice a day, in a month or two, you will notice something is different.
Okay, and thank you, Pete. That's amazing, because what you're doing is you're focusing your mind. It's a bit like you could be sitting there looking at a candle, and you're looking at the flicker of the
Right.
candle,
Right.
and that brings your mind into focus,
Right.
doesn't it? It brings you into the moment.
That's right.
That's what it does.
But that is the objective of many forms of meditation. And I think personally that even people who do not believe in spiritual things are still trying to find a way to stay in the moment, because I think that's just something that human beings naturally do. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we have come to this world to figure out.
To stay in the moment.
How to stay in the moment. And if you can do that, you are staying closer to your higher power.
That's fantastic. So this helps you, and you've also got into Unity. When did you get involved in Unity, would you say?
I got involved in Unity in the 90s. And what happened was I had gone to a Unitarian Universalist church and decided I had moved and I wanted to go to another one. And I looked up an address in the phone book, and I thought it was a Unitarian Universalist church. It turned out to be a Unity church.
Right.
All right, and that's the first time I never even heard of Unity.
Okay.
All right, and they have a very simple 5 basic rules. That's it. There's no theology. There's nothing that you have to remember. Nothing that you have to agree to. All right, nothing that you have to believe in. There are 5 rules, although if you don't necessarily believe in those, nobody's going to kick you out either.
Sure.
And then after that, you know, it's a safe place for you to decide, you know, the nature of your higher power, and how you can get closer to it.
Okay. Okay, so moving on from Unity, that's where I met Pete and over the last few years. And as I said, I have failed that you would make an incredible presenter, host for Moving On TV.
I'm honored.
Because the whole point of Moving On TV is positivity and, you know, teaching people how to rise above what's going on in our world. So how do you feel about that?
Quite excited.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm as you know, I'm studying to be a minister because,
Yeah.
matter of fact, I finished all of my classes. All right, I've got a bunch of practical things before I get.
Did you get a title that we have to call you by?
Pete.
Just Pete.
Yeah. You become a certified teacher. All right,
Right.
and then you become a minister.
Okay.
All right, so I'm working on my certified teacher bit. All right, but that gives you enough juice to be able to conduct the day-to-day affairs of a church.
Mm-hmm.
All right, either here in Britain or in the United States. So because there are just so many people that are so sad, and I saw a BBC show about some outrageous number, like 5 million people in Britain will go an entire month without speaking to somebody on any kind of more than one sentence. And so the number of people, and it seems it's worse here than it is in the United States when it comes to that.
Moving on TV. Get them talking, get
That's
them
true.
interacting.
That's true.
The whole point.
And I really think that while the internet and TV is a wonderful thing, all right, one bad thing about it is that it makes it a lot easier to sit in your house by yourself.
Exactly.
All right,
That's
and so before then, people would form groups. All right, and I can tell you, all right, as somebody who in their later years, obviously I didn't go to school here. All right, it is very, very hard, to meet people and to develop a social life if you didn't have one before you got here. So. I'm when I'm thinking about when I go back to the United States, helping organize
phone. Right,